Hello, my name is Rhodri Wigley and I've been lead ranger for the National Trust here at Dolmelynllyn for the past 14 years. The estate was given to the National Trust in 1936 and it comprises of 2 farms, 2 hotels, 14 tenanted cottages and a village hall. Behind me is the centrepiece of the estate, which is Dolmelynllyn Hall. It's an old Victorian mansion, the home of the well-known William Maddox, who went on to build the Cob at Porthmadog. The estate here saw 1,000 years of human activity, mainly farming, but in the 19th century there was a gold rush up on the slopes of Cefn Coch. Dolmelynllyn is an ancient woodland site and there's some fantastic specimens of trees here, so today I'm going to take around and show you what we can find. Follow me.
I'm Lamacraft. I'm Plantlife Cymru's Lower Plants and Fungi Officer. I've been working with Rhodri here for a few years now because this is such an important site for the lichens, the mosses and liverwort. This is the Afon Gamlan here. This is one of the most important river ravines in Western Europe for the mosses and liverworts. The river's flowing really rapidly. It's generating a whole load of spray. I don't know if you can feel that it's really humid in here. That humidity is kept in by the woodland canopy, and basically what it feels like is a rainforest, and this gets called the Celtic rainforest. The temperature is quite even throughout the year. It's quite mild. It's also wet, it rains a lot, so it's a temperate rainforest, and this is a really rare habitat throughout the world. It's found in northwest Europe, it's found in other places, but a long way away, so places like southern South America and New Zealand. So this is one of the rarest mosses here. This is the prostrate signal moss. This is only found in 8 places in the whole of the UK. All of those are in northwest Wales, and this site here is the most important. It almost looks like it's been combed flat onto the rock, but it's quite a bright green colour. Kind of stands out as a bit more yellowy green than the other mosses, and it has these spore capsules that stand on the end of these really upright little stems. So it's quite distinctive once you get your eye in. So we think there are a couple of reasons why this moss is here. One is to do with the humidity created by the river and these small streams flowing through the site, and another is because this moss and a lot of the other rare ones found here, they don't really compete very well with the other mosses that are bigger and more kind of aggressive, if you like. So they're often in places where either the river flows big rocks down the stream and it knocks these bigger mosses off, or where, as in this site here, where people are walking across the rocks. So the people walking across the rocks are scraping these bigger mosses off, and it gives an opportunity for this rare moss to grow on those spaces. There are other important plants in these woods as well. It's not just the mosses and the liverworts, but the ferns are really quite special. Some of the most interesting are the filmy ferns, which almost look like mosses, but they're actually a very small fern with a very transparent leaf, so that's why they're called filmy ferns. There are only 2 species of the filmy ferns found in Britain, and this one here, the most common one, is Wilson's filmy fern.
So the gorge area here is really important for its lower plant species. And it's important really that we do as little as possible to change it, to try and keep it exactly as it is. The most important thing really is that we keep the canopy consistent to keep the humidity levels up. You can hear the noise of the waterfall crashing down over there, and it's a reason really that people have been coming here for thousands of years to see the views and to see the waterfalls. And it's amazing to think really that the paths that we have around here probably look exactly the same today as they did 1,000 or 2,000 years ago.
We're walking now from the waterfall across towards the old farm ruins at Beth Fluid. And we've just come across this really wonderful example of the special lichens that you get in these woodlands. This is a special community of lichens that's called the ribarian community, and it's really the kind of what we call a climax community of ancient woodlands. So if you leave woodlands alone for a long time, this is what you get. But you only really get them in areas where there's very clean air. So They used to be found across most of Britain, but they got wiped out by sulphur dioxide pollution through the Industrial Revolution, so they're now really restricted to places like this. where the management has been fairly constant. You know, these trees have been standing for hundreds of years, and the air is very, very clean. There's two species here, these rather olivey brown ones that are called stictors. They get known as the stinky stictors because they smell of fish when they're wet and you rub them. The one with the more rounded leaves here, that's known as the Celtic rainforest lichen, so that's very much a kind of species of these really humid ancient woodlands in Western Britain. So this is one of the most distinctive and one of the more common members of this Liberian community. This is called tree lungwort, Liberia pulmonaria. Lungwort because when you look closely it has like a network of ridges on the surface and it's almost lung shaped on the larger lobes, so it kind of looks a bit lung-like. This grows really, really slowly, and there's so much of it on this tree that I think of this tree as like the mother lode of the Liberia pulmonaria on this site. But this tree must be 300 to 400 years old. One of the interesting things about the lungwort on this tree is that it's producing fruits. So a lichen is half fungus and half alga, and as it's a fungus it produces spores like a mushroom does. And you don't often see this in Wales. It's producing these little chestnut coloured discs, and that's where the spores come from, just like as with a mushroom.
Unfortunately, this tree has been attacked by what we call a honey fungus, which attacks the root system of the tree. As you can see, there's a big hollow at the base here. It's not in very good health at all. What we've done to try and prolong the life of the tree is to do some remedial tree work, take off a bit of weight off the branches and reduce it in height. So there's, let's say, less of a chance of it being blown over. So hopefully it'll stay upright a bit longer, and hopefully the lichens will colonise the neighbouring trees before it blows over. Here we have a woodland compartment that we've done quite a bit of work in the last 2 years. We had lichenologists here to have a look at these older trees to see which ones had a really good lichen on, and also what sort of prescription they would offer to improve the conditions for the lichens. They suggested that we take out the understory, the younger saplings and the trees that were growing around the better trees to give them a bit more room, and that's called halo thinning. So that's what we've done to the tree behind us here. We've taken out the saplings and some medium-sized trees to benefit the really good stuff on the older trees, give them a bit more light and a bit more room, and hopefully they'll flourish.
So this tree here has a really rare lichen on it. It's called red-eyed shingle lichen. Really tiny, it's the size of a 20p piece, but it's really, really pretty if you look at it through a magnifying glass or a lens. It has little tiny red fruits on the surface and really delicate edges to the lobes, really pretty. Now this lichen was thought to be extinct in Wales. It was last recorded in the early 1960s, and I just happened to find it one of the first times I came here to this wood to survey it. Complete beginner's luck, because I'd only been looking at lichens for a year or so, but I'm quite proud of this lichen.
Here we have another compartment that we've done a bit of work in the last 2 years. It was a bit of a thicket really of youngish trees, and we've had lichenologists here to survey the young trees to see which ones have the potential to become the lichen trees of the future. So we've taken out the stuff that wasn't needed and kept the better ones. And as you can see on this oak tree here, we've cut away a section of the ivy in order to remove the ivy from the trunk, and hopefully this tree now will be available for colonisation in the future. Right, so we've come to the end of our walk now. We've seen the magnificent Rhodri and the gorge and the fantastic lower plants growing there.
And we've looked at some of the lichens around the ruin, the big ash tree, and looked at the woodland where we've been working together, so Plantlife and National Trust, working together with Help from Natural Resources Wales.
And we're now at the wonderful ornamental lake at Dolmelynllyn, and it's a fantastic place to visit, so please tell your friends to come along, and hopefully we'll see you around.